Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm painting roses and hydrangeas. I'm painting my comfort flower this week since we're in isolation, and that's roses. I find them easy to do. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and thank you for watching. I have my usual palette of water mixable oils, titanium white, cadmium yellow light, raw sienna, raw umber, French ultramarine blue, sap green, and alizarin crimson. And I may add some of the phthalo colours or whatever, I'm not quite sure. I may add other colours as I go along. I've already painted this blue acrylic paint on my canvas panel, and it gives me quite an impervious surface, and it's easy to wipe things off if I make mistakes, which I often do. And I'm going to paint on a background. I'm going to have a vase standing on a table, so I'm using raw sienna just to sketch that in quickly, just to see where it is. Okay. And I'm going to sort of make a greenish yellow background using sap green and cadmium yellow light, and maybe a little titanium white in there. It makes it opaque, and I like that. And I'm going to just put that on as a background, and it could change. Everything that I paint can change, because that's the way I paint. That's a bit dark, so I'll put some white in there. Whoops, put a lot of white on that. Okay. So using more sienna, I'm just going to sketch out what I'm going to do. We'll say like this is the middle. So I think I'm going to put a rose here as my star, although I'm not sure there will be stars in this picture. And another one here. And I'm going to have some hydrangeas. Maybe not there. Maybe 3 hydrangeas. There we go. Maybe a rose bud. 2 roses. And 3 hydrangeas. Although you don't see much of that one. Okay. I'm putting in their stalks. I'm going to put them in a glass jar, and we'll say the jar comes around there. We'll just make it a simple jar and put it in white and maybe see it a bit better. This is your hydrangea. And we'll have a leaf in that direction. that here. And we'll have some rose leaves here. And then something like that. I think that would look nice. Although I think that this vase is a little big. We'll make it smaller. Take that one out. I think that's better. It's a bit plonk in the middle, but I haven't really got much to work with this canvas, and I like to paint fairly big. So that's the way I'm going to do it. My rose is going to have a yellowish tinge to it. Oops, that's a lot of paint in the center. And I'm going to darken this one down a little bit with raw sienna and yellow. And we'll put a little up here. All right, I've mixed up alizarin crimson and French ultramarine blue, and just putting in a touch of purple. It came out a nice dark purple colour on my hydrangeas. But everything basically, I know I've got a lot of colour on there, will be closer to white than it will be with those colours by the time that I've finished. And just adding, I like to spread my colours around. So if I've got something on the brush, I'll add it. Let's put it in the tabletop too. I like that. I'm going to add a bit more raw sienna to the tabletop. And I'm going to add some raw umber to the tabletop too. And I lost my vase. There we go. We'll put a bit down here. I know you can't really see the bottom of that. Try and stand it up on the edge a little bit. I like to use this tabletop. It's a convenient size easel for me, and I have a window right beside me. I should put some, I'm painting in my dining room. I'll put my dining room light fixture on and see if that makes some difference too. I'm not sure it makes much difference. I'm going to work on the hydrangeas first. I'm using a sort of mid-size filbert, which is sort of rounded at the top, and I'm just going to dab in petal shapes. Okay, Alexa tells me it's 81 degrees. I just turned my AC off. It's quite cool in here, and it's so noisy that you can hear it quite loudly. Okay, I didn't put any colour in there. I'm going to do that here. And then I'm going to go and put some petal shapes in there. This is my hydrangea. I've got one here. We see it through here a little bit. another one here. I've got a little bit of one up here. This one's over the top down here. All right, I'm going to work on my roses. Now we're all staying at home because of the virus. I can hear people out in their yard with their children. It's kind of lovely to hear people playing with their children instead of their dogs barking because they're lonely. They're all out there playing together, and I think that's super. Okay. It's just getting paint on the canvas at this point. I'm going to put a little light in here, draw this around. And now we have paint on the canvas and I can refine it further. Okay, so I've found this large, really old bristle brush, and I'm using straight titanium white, and I'm going to put some petals on. These flowers have lots of florets and they have 4 petals each, but you see them from different angles, so you could just sort of put 3 on or 2 here and there. I'll probably refine these a little more as I go on, perhaps adding some more shadow or more light as I go forward, and probably using a different brush. This is a little coarse, this brush, so I'll probably use something a bit finer. I'm assuming the light's coming from this direction, so these will end up a little more in shadow. Really, I'm just putting on petal shapes, and the filbert brush helps with that. I don't have to work at getting that shape, that rounded shape out. Okay, a bit of white down here. I'm going to put my reflection in a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to do the same with my roses, using a, I think that's a 3/4 inch flat. Just drawing my petals in over that yellow. You can see everything's going to end up white. I just feel like doing a white painting today. Now these, we'll see the tops of these, so I can just sort of do a sideways swipe with this one. And I'm going to do a little more work on my rosebuds. I'm going to just use straight sap green, and I'm just going to put in my sepals. It's a little high up, you don't really see much of them there, do you? And going to use a 1/4 inch flat and work on my leaves. I'm sort of mixing some French ultramarine, some sap green, a little raw umber, and giving myself a dark green. The leaves of hydrangeas are quite strong and leathery, and they have sort of edge to them. I think I'm going to put a leaf in down here, which maybe we see something through the glass. And I'm going to I'm going to put in something dark here in the way of a leaf. I'm going to make that even darker if I can. Putting the blue on there. Just going to sort of drag that round. And I have no stems in there, so I'm going to use my dark browny blue green and put in some stems. Whoops, that's a terrible brush. I use my brushes such a lot. I need to, and I only buy cheap ones. They last a pretty long time. I bought these over a year ago. So say there's one for there. Well, let's put it down that way a little bit. And say there's some more in here. And we'll put a little brown on them to make them darker. Tommy, it's okay. Shh. I'm going to use just a tiny amount of alizarin. I'm going to leave that to set up for 5 minutes or so. It doesn't really dry, but it sort of, I guess it does dry a little bit. And then I'll come back and work on it some more. I'm going to add a little shadow. I've mixed up French ultramarine blue with titanium white, and I've added a little raw sienna to bring it down to a greyish blue. Whoops. Too much water. And I'm just Going to dab it in here. And it's given me a little shadow on that side, and I'm going to do the same here. I've still got that purple underneath there. I like that. And I'm going to put a little in here too. I'm definitely putting it up here, because that's sort of really in the background. You're really not going to see that by the time I finish my rose petals. And we'll put it on this side only of this one. And you can see that it's made my hydrangea blossom rounder slightly. Going to work on my roses and bring in more petals, just using titanium white. I think that looks good. I'm going to do this one. Dragging it over that green, and it sort of helps make the petal look more translucent. That's what I think. And I'm going to just add a little white to the tips. I'm pleased with those two roses, but the hydrangeas still need some work. Actually, while I've got some white on my brush, I'm going to put a sort of petal. Actually, that's not very good, that one. There we go. I'm going to add a little more dark to my stems. I've mixed alizarin crimson with raw umber. So I feel they need to be darker. And they need a little light on them too. So I'm going to mix some cad yellow light with my green. And I'm going to just where the light hits, just going to add a little light. That's enough, I think. I'm using my rigger or lining brush. And, oh, that's the wrong colour. I'm going to mix my dark brown, my raw umber. It's got a little tiny bit of alizarin in it. And I'm going to say that we see the back of this. We see the stem coming down. Hope you can see that, not just the back of my hand. I feel there should be something more here. I'm going to add a little green to that, I think. I'm not going to mess with it too much. If I don't get it right, I tend to leave it and maybe come back and fix it. I'm going to work on the vase a bit more. I'm going to drag that round. Give it a sense of, and my little trick is to sort of put in what I think of as window pane lights. I feel it makes my vases look a little more transparent and vase-like. And I like to put a blue on this side because you do get reflected light, but it's not as bright as the light coming from the light source. So if you use a blue, you get that sort of light feeling without it being too startlingly white. And I'm going to lay a little light there. I'm going to put a line of dark brown around here. Make it look like it's sitting on the table. I like that. I still need to work on my leaves and my hydrangeas. So I'm using another filbert, but it's a little finer than my bristle brush. And I'm using straight titanium white. I'm just putting in odd petals. My dog is snoring as usual. I expect you can hear him. I think that's good. I don't need to do too much to them, just refine them a little bit here and there. I'm going to use raw umber, and I'm using my liner brush, and I'm just sort of dotting in some centers to my roses. And then I'm going to mix a little alizarin with some yellow and get a nice orangey colour. And I'm going to dot that over the top. I like that. I'm using a dark green I mixed up with some ultramarine blue and sap green, and I dotted a little bit of titanium white in there to make it opaque because there are the transparent colours. And I'm just going to place some dots around. That's really too dark, so I'm going over that with a much lighter green. That's better. I don't want anything that stands out and takes over the picture. That's much better colour. And I'm just doing them here and there, not everywhere. I think that's good. I'm going to put a little light on some of my leaves. And I'm going to finish off my sepals on my rosebuds. Okay. I'm not sure I like that one. I think I might wipe it out. Okay, so I'm just using paper towel with a little bit of water on it. And I'm just wiping out that little bit. You can see the blue comes through very easily. Okay, what do I do with my brush? There it is. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to add sap green. Okay, that's better. And it's just few marks, really. Darken up in here a little bit. And here. going to add more white. And I'm going to leave that alone because I have a real problem with picking away at my paintings until there's nothing left. So I think I'll look at it for a little while. And I might have to come in and brighten these whites up a little bit because as they dry, they dull. So I find just putting another layer on sometimes helps. So I'm going to have lunch and let that sit while I stare at it and see if I need to do anything else. I'll be back. Okay, so I had lunch and stared at my picture and realized I have the same old problem. Everything's out of proportion. I've got this huge mass of flowers and this little teeny tiny vase. So I'm going to make the vase bigger. I'm going to make it taller, not wider. I'm going to make it taller. I'm going to bring it up to just under this leaf. I have a little white, and it really should have green on my brush. Now I think that is much better, and I'm going to bring this across this way. I'm going to use my filbert brush. I'm going to use my filbert brush, my softer filbert brush, and I'm going to just draw in some rough petal shapes here. You can hardly see them. And I'm going to use my liner, and I'm going to put in the tops of my... I'm covering the other lines just to make it all of the same sort of colour. I'm going to put in some alizarin. I'm going to put in some raw umber. Bring them all down to a similar colour. I'm going to put in that petal. Oops. Going to put in another leaf here. Hi, Chrissy. And I'm going to draw some white across that. And I have some blue on here. I'm going to increase that blue line. And I think I could like put in just going to use my liner or rigger brush. I'm going to put in the top there and increase that leaf a little bit. There we go. I think that's disguised it and made it taller, and I think it looks more balanced. The other thing I think I want to do is put more white on some of the petals, not all of the petals. And I'm going to do that next, and I think that will be it. Okay, I like that petal there, but this one needs a little bit, needs some more white in here. Hi, Chrissy. Are you hiding my picture? Chrissy likes to help me paint. You know, I really think I'm going to leave that before I mess it up, because I've found and lost paintings before now. I know how it goes. Yes, I'm going to call it a day. So I hope you enjoyed that. So I really enjoyed painting that. It was very soothing, and if you got this far, that's brilliant of you, and thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.